TitleMatchNetwork.com.
Is it true that you played pro football?
Hell no. I lasted as long as a fart in a windstorm. That was propagated by a promoter who thought that, someone who played pro football would obviously, add some credibility to wrestling. I did have the opportunity to play, but I wasn't good enough, plain and simple. I had the opportunity after that to go play Canadian football with a former wrestler named George Wells. But again, at that time, the money wasn't there as far as I was concerned. And you could be traded and playing for one team, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers one night and somebody in Vancouver the next.
Right. Memories of meeting Harley Race?
Oh, Harley Race was, probably one of my idols. I mean, you're trying to learn the business, and I learned from Harley. And then I also learned a great deal from him by watching his matches and emulating quite a bit of the things that he did.
Would you rate Harley as a great trainer?
As a great trainer, yeah, you'd have to. I mean, he was tough, but the same token, it is a work. And plain and simple, he taught us that, but he also taught you that you needed respect for the business.
Right. So did any of the older guys, like the veterans, when you first started, you talked a little bit about it during your training, they would try to stiff you and stretch you to see if you...
Are you talking about during training?
Yeah, during training, yeah, before you got in the ring for your first couple matches and stuff like that.
Oh, I think, the toughest time I had was probably when you would go into the dressing rooms. You weren't really smart and you weren't really all that much with it. And consequently, guys would, shove you. Hey, you think you're tough? Hey, kid, you think you can handle this? And, that was to some degree a little bit intimidating because, again, you thought you knew it was a work, but you weren't 100% sure it was a work.
Right.
So you didn't know exactly. And again, there was a guy, everybody referred to him as Stretcher Etchison, who came up on the carnival circuit when wrestling was a part-time gig. By that, I mean, you worked the winter months, but there was no air conditioning in the summer. So in the summertime, all these guys went out on what they called at shows, short for athletic shows. And you would go into these small towns and you would take on all comers. Usually there was a plant in the audience, but sometimes these guys had to take on the local, town tough.
Right.
And of course, when that happened, their only job, because it was the one side of the ring was against the tent itself. And so all the guy had to do, if the guy had the best of him, was get him over toward the other side of the tent where somebody could hit the guy with a ball bat or a brick or something.
Wow.
In the back and distract him long enough so the guy could save the promoter money.
The training. Was it more? How you guys?
Are you focused again? Or
I'm ready.
No, I mean, is the camera focused?
Yeah. Yep. You're perfect.
Okay, because I moved.
You're in frame.
Okay.
We're talking about the training.
Yeah, I mean, did I have it tough? The toughest part I had was, guys would, put you in a hole and say, fight out of it, fight out of it, fight out of it. And that was just a way of testing your grit.
Right.
To want to know if you really were interested enough to come back. I mean, I've heard horror stories of training programs and everything else, but I can't say that I lack any respect for the ways that guys are trained. It's just that I didn't have to go through that and all that punish money.
Right. Memories of meeting Lord Littlebrook for the very first time. And was he a tough guy?
Lord Littlebrook was a little guy. I mean, he was a midget.
Right.
He was the savior, basically, for midget wrestling because before Lord Littlebrook, these guys worked as independents. So they were open to getting screwed by each and every promoter. But once Littlebrook got these guys organized into sort of I guess you'd want to call it a quasi-union, and with everybody working for Littlebrook, basically. And I will say that he was not as mean as Moolah, where Moolah was taking 30% of these girls' money, Littlebrook had a 10% booking fee. And then again, on various holidays, Christmas, New Year's, they would divvy back to the wrestlers in the form of bonus some of those expenses that hadn't been paid out, for phone calls, for, transportation, for office space and things like that.
Where were you living when you were training at? What state?
Oh, St. Joe, Missouri.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where Littlebrook is, as far as I know, is still living. I was back there this past summer, and I tried to see him, and I tried to see Little Tokyo, but I couldn't get a hold of either one. Now, I understand Littlebrook's his health is not good, and he's living with a daughter or something, but I couldn't locate him or Little Tokyo.
What were some of your memories of your first match?
The fact that I thought I was in great shape, and it was supposed to be like a 14, 15-minute match, 20-minute Broadway, or not a Broadway, but the guy was supposed to beat me. And I just remember that even though I played football and didn't have any jitters, and I played in front of thousands of people. Here I was in I think it was Waterloo, Iowa. And maybe there was 3,000 people there. And I just remember the nerves being such that I was so tense. And, the guy kept telling me, loosen up, you're going to blow up.
Right.
But I was stiff. And again, in about the 7 or 8 minute mark, I'm saying, beat me. Huh. I can't take anymore. You can't think. Right. I mean, when they call it blowed up, in other words, that's a thing we refer to where you're just you can't think of your next move. It's you're totally gassed. And I was begging him, beat me, and of course the promoter said, I thought it was going to go longer than that. I said I couldn't go any longer. I said I was completely gassed. Right. So it was a matter of just finding that relaxation point, which the longer you were in it, the more matches you had, the easier it was to relax.
When did you become interested in pro wrestling?
Never. And I guess probably the answer to that would be after I felt, when I was playing college football, that I would have a distinguished career in the NFL, and it didn't come to pass. And so I went back to my hometown, and I had been approached when I was in college by this promoter, and what about pro wrestling? At that point, I just wasn't interested. But once I went back and I said, Jesus Christ, you're teaching school and you're not doing anything. You're not making any money. I went back to that old Greek promoter and I said, tell me about this wrestling. Can I make good money? Can I see the world? Can I do whatever? And of course, right. I took the opportunity.
How did you get started in the business?
How did I get started in the business? Well, again, I was teaching school at the time. So I would work out with various wrestlers whenever they had the opportunity to give me the time. I always had a Friday night once the ring was set up in my hometown to work out with wrestlers. Anywhere from a very notable wrestler named Kay Noble, who was a female wrestler, and then I did a lot of training at a place with Lord Littlebrook and his midgets. Even though you couldn't do the physical aspect, Lord Littlebrook definitely taught me a lot about the psychological aspect of wrestling and what to expect. Right.
TitleMatchNetwork.com